Hi, this is Josh from Federal Signal Tech Support, and right now we are going to set up horn ring tone scroll on the actual horn input. So let's say you're in hands-free on the rotary dial and you're in slide switch 3. When you press the horn, you can cycle through various tones, most commonly wail, yelp, and priority. Of course, you can set it up however way you want, but this is a most common configuration. So first things first, before we even start programming, we need to verify a couple things with the wiring. So here is a wiring diagram on how the horn ring would need to be wired. So the actual vehicle horn wire would need to be cut. And then the white with yellow wire from the input harness from the Pathfinder, which is that 14-pin harness, the white with yellow wire would go to the steering column side for your horn ring. The white wire, which is off that same 14-pin harness from the Pathfinder, would go to the actual horn or the horn relay side. Now, the white wire only supports 5 amps. If it exceeds that, you would more than likely use an external relay. So you could potentially use that as a trigger. So if you must use a relay for the horn, I have the pinout right here. So feel free to pause the video if you must, and of course wire everything according to the pinout, which is right here. Okay, after we verified that, we need to verify the polarity of the horn ring. It could either be battery or ground. So we would need to determine that, and once you do, we need to go back into the software and change our horn ring polarity if it isn't already set correctly. So just go and click Edit Hardware, and then go ahead and select your amplifier if it isn't already selected, and then scroll down until you see your polarities, and just make sure horn ring polarity is set to whatever vehicle polarity is for the horn ring. So you could, like I said, it could either be for battery or for ground. So in this example, I'm just going to use ground. So once that's done, go ahead and click Continue. Now, let's start setting up everything. So to do this, what we need to do is first set up our hands free. So we need to set up slide switch 3. So let's do that. We need to set up slide switch 3, and then make sure horn ring transfer is checked on. And then go to your hands free, and then have dependency. If you go to the properties icon on the top right, go to your button dependencies tab and have slide switch 3 is on. So yeah, horn ring transfer is very important, especially for 3, because if you do not have that checked, it'll just activate the regular factory horn. If you have horn ring transfer checked on, it'll interrupt that vehicle horn and it'll play whatever tones you have programmed for the horn input. So now let's set up our tone scroll or tone cycle. So what we need to do is right click horn, create a feature, and then I would just rename it. If you go to button properties here, I'll just do horn and hands free or horn tone scroll or something like that. And we need to change this to a step. So in this example, we're going to do 3 tones and a step off. So change this to 4. So it would be wail for step 1, yelp for step 2, priority for step 3, and then the last step would be our step off. So 4 steps total. And then if we really want, you could double tap the horn to deactivate all the tones for the horn. So to do that, just check, double press the stop steps, like so. And then for the horn, have dependency, so that way when slide switch 3 is on and hands free is on, that's when you could activate the horn cycle per se. So let's add slide switch 3 is on for one dependency, and hands free is on for the other, like so. So now all we need to do is just program our tones. So let's start with step 1. Do SSP whale. Like I said, you can do any tone you want, but this is the most common configuration. So step 2, let's do SSP yelp, like so. Step 3, SSP priority. Then step 4, we don't need to program it, it'll automatically do tone off. Now if you want park to kill the horn, and also if you want the horn to automatically reactivate when you're back in drive, all you need to do is add a dependency here for the horn and hands-free. Add another dependency, and we have to add a group because we can't have park grouped with these two. And park, oh yeah, we have to add it. And park is off. So it should look like this. So that way when you're in park, it'll kill it. If you're out of park, it will resume back. You just have to make sure in your system and then priority settings. Of course, always make sure ignition is in the #1 spot and that park is above horn and hands free. So that way it'll kill the tones. If you did not want them to kill the tones, just drag it below. And that is all there is to it. All you have to do now is click device and then program device to dump the updated configuration into the amplifier. And remember from the beginning, if it's still not working, just verify your wiring. White would go to the horn relay. The white with yellow would go to the horn ring side, the steering column. And if it's exceeding 5 amps on that white wire, we'd have to use an external relay. So yeah, that is how you set up a horn ring tone scroll. And if you have any questions, feel free to call our tech support line at 1-800-433-9132, option 1. And until next time, see you later.